What do you think is more important, the material or the spiritual? In this video, I'm going to tell you why both actually matter. A lot of people put more value on material issues, especially a lot of the people living under harsh conditions in which they must always think about their most fundamental needs, like their food or the safety of themselves and their family. And those things often are what they need most in their individual situation. But that's not the point. Even in countries with a safer and better economic situation, there are lots of people who think only about their material safety, getting a better job, more status, and pleasure, or believing that owning any product from an ad would make them happier. I think there's no question that someone turning inwards from that perspective is more advanced, striving for something higher than just the material plane, taking the next step on his or her own process of growing. But I want to make clear that this step of striving for the immaterial and a spirituality which is not integrated into the material world can be also a dead end. And a not grounded spirituality definitely has its pitfalls and fallacies it is prone to. What do I mean by that? Imagine someone who strove all his life rather for material things. He studied long, worked hard in his job, got a nice house, a car, and a family with all the duties and responsibilities in normal life, which come by that. And chasing those things always motivated this person. Now something happens, and he suddenly starts to develop an eager interest into spiritual topics, which, for example, say that the outer world is just an illusion, having an ego and protecting oneself is a bad thing, that one always must be loving and forgiving in any situation, and having a lot of money is a despicable thing. Do you think the person now will put in the same effort in succeeding in his work, doing the household, taking care of his family and doing his duties? Maybe yes, but it definitely will not become easier. It really depends on the maturity of the person, but in most cases, the person certainly could lose a lot of motivation and drive, especially since, as stated earlier, the person tended to be very motivated by chasing outer material things in the first place. What I want to show you by using this example is that the things we believe in have to do with the things we value, the things which motivate us, and therefore with our motivational drive, our success in the outer world and our happiness. If we stop to value a specific thing, we start to lose interest in growing and sustaining that thing, because there's a shift in what we value. If we stop valuing our health, we will stop doing things which sustain it. Therefore, starting one's own spiritual journey does not rarely precede an identity crisis, and thus also an outer crisis. That's why I want to challenge this not integrated form of spirituality. Can someone be truly spiritual who is sitting on his cushion all day and in interactions always speaks about his high ideals, but rarely takes on responsibility for things around him? The concept of right-brain imbalance describes someone who is very much in his emotions. Such a person normally is very empathic and idealistic, but most of the time has real difficulties to actively do things which sustain his life. I want to make a video about this interesting concept and the concept of left-brain imbalance in the future. Right-brain imbalance, a one-sided emphasis on the emotional, can be caused by hatred against anything worldly. Unfortunately, in many religious traditions, there's a distorted, unhealthy view of material things, vilifying them as profane or even seeing one's own body as an obstacle on the path towards enlightenment. Seeing the body as something animalistic which must be transcended in order to achieve any kind of paradise or high state of consciousness afterlife. In the late 1800s and the early 1900s, a lot of spiritual Buddhist and Hindu teachings, according to the concept of the ego, were mistranslated and brought a wrong understanding about enlightenment, even called ego death, into the West. Those teachings actually see the ego not as something evil, but they rather want it to be an empty, but strong, healthy, and grounded vessel, which for the individual is needed in order to be mature, grounded, and strong enough to go through the stirring process of inner spiritual transformation. That's why in yogic tradition, the lower chakras like the root chakra or the sacral chakra must be strengthened first. And there must be done a lot of bodily breath work and meditational practice in the first place. Because the lower chakras, like the roots of a tree, bear the whole tree. And if they are weak, one is rather prone to suffer from traumatic and even dangerous side effects, like psychosis or physical illness. Spirituality also should not be used as an escape from normal life, but life should be rather something holistic, embracing and integrating the material in a healthy way into one's life. There's a difference between a superficial glorifying materialism and a healthy materialism, which is more about being thankful for everything material that we have and taking on responsibility for oneself and everything and everyone else around us. Our mental ability to feel abundant within is not possible when we disclaim everything worldly. This has also a lot to do with the spiritual earth element and how you can use its energy for your inner and outer growth, but about this topic I will also make a video in the future. A Christian mystic once roughly said that you are not in union with God before you see him in every stone, in every branch, in every leaf, in every being. And when Buddha was asked what he did before enlightenment, he said chopping wood and carrying water. And when he was asked again after enlightenment, he said chopping wood and carrying water. Spirituality is not something true and real as long as you do not integrate appreciation for the material and a grounded connection to life. Actually, it is much easier to develop spiritually for you when you live in solitude far away in any cave than when you live in a big city, which makes it more difficult, but where more help is needed. And maybe any kind of wealth and property make it more difficult to be a good person, but only someone who makes it anyway has owned real mastership. All in all, there's nothing which is better or more important than the other, the material or the spiritual. A mature grounded being has to have integrated both. If you liked the video and you want to support this channel, give it a thumbs up, write your comment down below, and hit the subscribe button for further videos.